Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back to another day here on the BrittReacts channel. It is me, girl BrittReacts, and today we're going to react to a clip from Theo Von's podcast. This is Mike Rowe on Trump's tariffs bringing manufacturing back. I'm really interested about this one. Let's see what they have to say.
But it's crazy to think that when you think about, this is a misconception that I started to realize that I had, that when I traveled around the country, because we've probably, and I just said this recently, but we've, touring comedy, we've probably done the top 200 cities size-wise, right? Like some comedians, they go to 50 cities, right?
Sure.
And they go to we went as many places as you could go. And we still have more to go. But I mean, like, you know, anywhere from like, Lubbock to La Crosse,
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, just we to Fargo. I mean, we're going to medium-sized cities. And you always think like, oh, well, there's factories everywhere that make things and stuff like that. There's not.
No.
There's not. And you think, oh, well, I'm sure there's always, when you're flying on an airplane, you're like, oh, I'm sure we're passing thousands and hundreds of thousands of factories that are making products and sweatshirts. We're not.
No, it used to be, I mean, the Rust Belt in particular, like that part of the Mid-Atlantic, those were factory towns.
The tetanus belt, too, they called it.
The tetanus. Well, I mean, it was, there's so many rivers up there, and so the mills were by the rivers, and so the factories were near the mills, and the cotton was spun there. But this guy Byard, he's actually become a friend of mine, and he's on a mission, and like flannel, like hand-dyed yarn in flannel was something like those old thick flannel shirts that we grew up with. You can't get them anymore.
Right.
So American Giant started making those. They started making these hoodies. And the more I read about him, the more I liked him. So he's become, like, he's in my world now because I tried on my podcast. I'm not there yet, but I'm really trying to make sure all the sponsors have an American-made story. Just because, why not? See, the thing is, man, if Trump succeeds at the reshoring effort
with the tariffs.
Yeah, that's part of it. But if in general he gets manufacturing reinvigorated in this country, then there's going to be a challenge that like a lot of people aren't talking about, which is labor.
Right.
So
Okay, let's stop right there. I did just do a quick, I just asked Siri like who Mike Rowe was. Matter of fact, let's ask her now. Hey Siri, who is Mike Rowe? I want to read you what she told me. No, please don't call that person. Woo. Hey Siri, who is Mike Rowe? Michael Gregory Rowe is an American television host and narrator. He's known for his work on the Discovery Channel series Dirty Jobs and the series Somebody's Gotta Do It, originally developed for CNN. The picture here of him is not great. He looks fantastic here. This is just subject to bad lighting, like not good. Also, the baby's sleeping, so he's on the monitor. Okay, I just have to say this because y'all know I notice everything. Like the set, and Theo's set is always like, my eyes are always everywhere. He has such good product placement for his sponsors. Like Celsius is everywhere. There's a Celsius on the table. There's a Celsius on the shelf behind Mike. There's a Celsius on the shelf behind Theo. There's a Celsius on Theo's table. But what's catching me is this Delight creamer on the table. And yes, I know that it is altered. It's not raining. It's just altered because Theo does copyright his stuff, so I can't just have the screen playing. And good for him. Do your thing. But he's got these creamers laid out, and they're unopened. There's probably nothing in that coffee cup, but they staged it. And then you've got this candle here that I'm sure is also like some type of brand. Nothing on this on any product is coincidence. Anyway, squirrel but not. I'm reacting. That's what I'm reacting to. Okay, and so in this conversation, I love to kind of watch Theo have these real conversations, like these kind of serious conversations with these people who are very seriously out in the field doing their job in their world, because Theo is a comedian. At heart, Theo is a comedian. So I love the lightheartedness he brings to it, like that joke that he just made, the tetanus joke. And for me, it makes it a little easier for me to understand and digest. Y'all know I'm very new to some of this this content I've been reacting to, and some of you have great opinion about it. and that's fine. But sometimes things are easier for me to digest and understand when they are in the form of a Theo Von podcast versus me going and watching like a Jordan Peterson podcast where I don't even know half the words he's saying. I have to like stop and Google them, in all honesty. But I appreciate that Theo has gotten, he's also tapped in. So I'm saying like all of the content creators are tapping into what's going on in this world because it's affecting us. It's not like clickbait or for money. It's like, no, but why wouldn't I want to be reacting to what's going on in my world? If I have some type of voice and ability to like have people listen to me, I'd love to at least create a space for learning and understanding and empathy and just a safe space, you know? I don't know. That's just my take on it. Say what you want. And so it is interesting. I live in upstate New York in a town that used to be in a city that I'm not in a small town, in a city that used to be, I mean, everything now has been turned into lofts because there were so many industrial buildings and factories that were shut down that just were abandoned. So they've just been turning everything into like work living spaces and stuff like that. It's really wild to see. But I didn't know too much about the factory industry, the industrial industry, the manufacturing industry before moving here, and just seeing it, it feels like the ghost of like what America used to be. And this conversation about it being on the river and all these things, like I understand a lot more of it now. And so I reacted to, was it Desi breaking down, Fox explained Trump's tariffs, and she made it clear to me because I don't think I really truthfully understood Trump's goal, and making me understand that he's trying to bring manufacturing and products back to the States, because you flip over anything and everything and nothing is American made anymore. He brought up the flannel shirts, which is so crazy because when you go thrifting and you find like a really good heavyweight flannel, you know you've hit gold because they're all paper thin now. Nothing is made of quality anymore. Everything is how fast they can make it and how much they can ship out so that they can see the return. And so, you know, you think about that and what it did to, I guess, the American industries as far as manufacturing goes. And like Theo said, it's like, I think we all, well, not all, obviously, but I think a lot of people just assume like, yeah, somebody's got to be making this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but not Americans. It ain't us. So, you know, in that regard, he's saying, you know, if Trump is successful, and I stopped it before he goes on, but that is Trump's goal, is to, I mean, his whole slogan is Make America Great Again. And part of that is bringing the economy back to something, anything, you know what I mean? Bringing jobs back, labor, you know, everything back to the people. So, you know, this is going to be interesting for me, I think. All right, let's keep going.
Manufacturing reinvigorated in this country, then there's going to be a challenge that like a lot of people aren't talking about, which is labor.
Right.
So in January, there were 482,000 open positions in manufacturing in this country, right? 480,000 open positions. If he gets his way and this all gets reinvigorated, you're talking about 2 or 3 million new jobs, but there's no workforce sitting there going, this is what I want to do.
Or prepared to do it?
They're not. So there's a skills gap for sure.
Okay.
But there's also a will gap.
Right.
Donald Trump.
I love that. There's a skills gap, but there's a wills gap. I have 2 things to say about that. Also, in the video I reacted to for Desi, someone sarcastically said, yeah, and then who's going to want to work these jobs? Because Americans, we have, and something happened for sure post-COVID, but we have this kind of like, everyone's entitled. No one wants, who's manual labor? Ugh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no one's doing, I literally write, like, obviously I work from home. I also homeschool. And so, you know, I'm out in the middle of the day and I'm like, why is nobody at work? I drove past a cute little bar today and it was packed at 2:00 in the afternoon. I was picking my daughter up from her music lesson and the bar was packed. I'm just like, what? Target, packed. Walmart, packed. The mall, packed. Nothing is like weekday anymore. And so, you know, a lot of people work for themselves now. A lot of people, you know, the boom of the tech industry, a lot of people have changed their careers multiple times. I'm one of those people. I think too, like, trades are no longer like, going to trade school and learning a trade is not as popular as it once was. So yeah, it's interesting because it's like, okay, sure, bring all this work back to the States. Who's going to do the work? Who's going to fill these factories and actually get dirty and do the work? And it doesn't feel like there's a lot of Americans that are willing to do that. I have a question for you because I just reacted to something about it was Joe Rogan's podcast yesterday and the immigration and, El Salvador, and not saying that illegal immigrants should stay in this country. Certainly not if they haven't done what they need to do to have some type of legal pathway, and certainly not if they're some type of criminal and they're causing havoc in our country. But is there anything that can be done for people who maybe are working towards getting their citizenship and offering them these positions? I don't know. I'm just asking. Please don't crucify me in the comments. This is just me asking because these are people who, want to be here and need jobs, and people are complaining they're taking our jobs, black jobs, brown jobs, green jobs, blue jobs. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? That just literally just came in my brain. So if it's a stupid fart of a thought.
Sure.
Okay.
But there's also a will gap.
Right.
Donald Trump is going down a road, and if he succeeds, he's going to create millions of manufacturing jobs in a country that currently has nearly 500,000 manufacturing jobs open because the people who run those factories can't find people who want to do the work. So it's not enough to create the jobs.
Right.
And look, a lot of your listeners are probably thinking, well, make the pay better, make it more interesting, make it more palatable. And we can have that conversation for sure. But the bigger issue still is there's no enthusiasm for the work. We took shop class out of high school. We robbed kids of the opportunity to even see what that kind of work even looks like. Meanwhile, we told a whole generation of kids they were fucking screwed if they didn't get a 4-year degree. Right? And so people say, Mike, how did college get so expensive? I know you know this, but nothing has gotten more expensive in the last 40 years than a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
Not real estate, not healthcare, not energy, nothing. Right? And so we keep telling kids they're screwed if they don't go in this direction. We free up endless money to loan them. So now you got $1.7 trillion in student debt on the books. You've got 7.6 million open jobs right now, most of which don't require a 4-year degree. And here's the other screwed up part. You got 6.8 million able-bodied men who are not only not looking for work, they're out of the workforce and not looking.
Right.
So all of that together.
He just spat out those numbers like nobody's business. These are all really valid points. I mean, is college valuable? Yes. Is college for everybody? No. Does every career path require college to climb and succeed? No. Are there career paths that you cannot do anything without a college degree? Yes. Did somehow the value of college become, I feel like millennials, we saw it happen. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like millennials, we are the generation where the pressure of college really hit. I never wanted to go to college. I never even I never felt like I needed to. I never felt pressure to. My mother was a creative. My mother didn't go to college. She danced, she modeled. And then she went into corporate America. And I never felt like, oh my God, I got to go to college. Like, what am I going to do? So I never was in high school, like thinking of the future being college. But at the end of the day, I graduated and I had no plan. And everybody was like, you should go to college. Why aren't you going to college? You should go to college. And I ended up going to college with my cousin. we had gone to middle school and high school together, and he was a freshman when when I was a freshman in college, he was a sophomore. So we had always been really close in school. And I was like, whatever. I mean, I went to school. It was super easy to get in back then. There was the Hope Grant in Georgia. I don't know if they still have it. And then the school I went to, it was $3,000 some odd dollars for the entire year. That was tuition back then. I graduated high school in 2006. You do the math. It was $3,000. So I got a Pell Grant, which was $3,000, and didn't pay for college. So I was just in college. Hated it. Wasn't for me. I never enjoyed schooling. I just was always a social butterfly. So I went and like had a 0.2 GPA within a month of being in college. But I feel like I remember the turn of it feeling like I didn't feel any pressure to all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, like I didn't get a 4-year degree. What am I going to do? And now 20 plus years later, it's like it all turned right back around, and no one is, I mean, go to college, do your thing. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think anyone feels the pressure in society as much. Like, I think the new generations feel like, oh, I can be a creator. I can be this. I can be a tech person. You know, there's like all these avenues now. So that is interesting that like it boomed, and that's why it became so expensive. And I think I have to be right. If he's saying, if I'm telling you I went to a college, and I didn't go to like a community college, I went away to college. It was in state, so I had in-state tuition, but I think out-of-state tuition was $6,000 versus $3,000. I mean, I went to a D2, like we had a huge athletic program. Like, listen, okay? And so if in 2006 tuition was, oh, I can actually tell you how much tuition is at this school now. In 2006, the tuition, in-state tuition was $3,000 some odd change. Tuition now at this school is in the 20s. It's wild to think about. How's everybody getting their money? What y'all doing? Is everybody just in real estate and investing and you know, crypto and all that? What's everybody
not
doing?
Looking.
Right.
So all of that together, we've never seen that before in peacetime anyway. So something beyond the tariffs, something beyond policy is going to have to happen to make 22-year-olds go, yeah, man, I would consider doing that.
Right. From my perspective, after traveling around the country, I don't know how else you're going to get jobs back here, because there's a lot of towns that are boarded up. There's a lot of small cities that are boarded up. I mean, a whole city.
Yeah.
You walk through the city of Jackson, Mississippi during the day, it looks like a movie set. It's very clean. It's beautiful, but there's nothing. And that's one of 40 probably cities that we've seen that are like that.
Wow.
So I'm just thinking, what's going to come and save these cities if something needs to? And so then you start to see Trump put these tariffs on, and then you start to get the idea, well, it's to bring jobs back. So we have jobs here, so it keeps cities busy.
Yeah. And so it's two different conversations, I think.
Okay.
And obviously, I'm not an economist. In
Me
fact,
neither.
I don't know an economist who thinks tariffs are a good idea. I really don't.
I don't know an economist.
I know a couple, but the ones I'm most interested in are like slightly right of center, where they don't agree either, right? So like everybody is either having a conversation about whether or not it's a good idea economically. I call that like a tier 2 conversation. You're having a tier 1 conversation. You're saying, well, wait a minute, what if there's something in the country that's actually more important than the economy long term?
Right.
What if, like, what could that be?
The economy of the human spirit, I think.
It could be that. And, you know, I get all kinds of grief for this, but I think it's a fair analogy. I think about, I think about slavery in 1870, right? Okay. And I think about the conversation that was going on in the country, and a big part of it was, wait, if we get rid of this, do you have any idea what it's going to do to the economy? Not just for the South, which would collapse, but for the North.
Who was buying all the products.
Who's all dressed in cotton.
Right.
And of course, there's the triangle trade, molasses, rum, slaves, right? This is an eternal wheel that had been going on for time immemorial.
Yeah, dark rum, where do you think that came from? You know what I'm saying?
He's an idiot.
You know?
I think I know what you're saying.
I'm just saying, you mix a few items and you got that's the best rum they got.
It's good rum. But if you fundamentally were to make the slavery decision based on nothing but whether or not it was good or bad for the economy, we'd still have slavery.
Right.
So
I like Mike Rowe. I like him. He knows what he's talking about. I just want to go back to the point of like getting 22-year-olds to work in these factories. Y'all, we can't even get the 22-year-olds to get off TikTok. The 22-year-olds are dancing on TikTok. They're busy. Oh, man.
we got to a point where people said, wait. This can't keep going.
This isn't human.
That's right.
Right.
And so it was bad.
Right.
The economy crapped the bed. We fought a war. A lot of people died. And I don't mean to sound glib when I say it. I don't know what the real ramifications are going to be. I don't have a crystal ball. But I do think that the reason people are talking past each other with the tariffs is because some people are saying, look, it's a tax, period. It's not good for global trade, which is true. But if there's if you're trying to transform Jackson, Mississippi, then you at least have to elevate the conversation to this other set of consequences that might happen if you shake the whole thing up.
Right.
Now, I put a big asterisk on that, i.e., I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I do believe that there are unintended consequences and intended consequences. And the consequences of messing with the tariffs are probably both.
Right. So you're saying that if the tariffs work, right, part of that is going to have to be that we're going to need people who can do the jobs, do the manufacturing jobs here.
I mean, in the long run, are we trying to put robots in these factories? Is that what's going on? Is that like part 3.0 of the plan is like, all right, get the jobs back and then roll out the robots since no one's going to want to actually do the work? I mean, let's face it. America is no longer like the bootstrapping, manual labor type of country. We just aren't. We're lazy. We're privileged. We're entitled. We think we're better than everybody. Like, let's be honest. Like, for real, as a country, like, who's doing these jobs? Who's doing them? So maybe Elon is developing 200 million robots and Jeff is in on it and Mark is in on it and everybody else is in on it. And the third tier of this story is roll out the robots. We got all the manufacturing back. Release the robots. I don't know.
Part of that is going to have to be that we're going to need people who can do the jobs, do the manufacturing jobs here. We're going to need those skilled labor workers, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and we don't have all those right now. We need them. We don't have them. How do you, so we almost need remember that Uncle Sam poster, like, I want you, like we need that PR campaign to get people hype, because I think that's the one thing that connects our audience is just there's this way that we feel, and a lot of it is hopeful, right? And so that's the side that I choose to err on when it comes to the tariff stuff. It's like, I have no clue. Like, if it doesn't work, what the fuck, what do we lose? I believe that we are at a severe crossing point right now, where if another generation without like a sense of purpose, it's not going to matter. Nothing's going to matter anymore. There won't even be enough of a person inside of our grandchildren for it to matter too. Like, even if you bring the gasoline, there's not going to be enough of a amp inside of them to even spark it up. It's like, even I think the human spirit is a muscle, right? That's how I feel about it.
Theo.
And I feel like it's always there, but it's like the stronger that we work it and the more that we encourage others to work it, and it's scary, man. I think people don't realize it's scary, but then I think part of all of us realize that something scary is going on.
Well, the stakes are big.
Right.
I mean, $37 trillion in national, that's the national debt.
Yeah.
$37 trillion. Most people, like, you really don't have to be an economist. You don't need a pedigree to understand that that's getting a little wobbly and it's not sustainable. So something radical has to happen.
This is a really good conversation. I think just as a listener, this is such a good conversation. I think it's really true. As like Theo said, I think everyone just feels like something is happening. Some people feel like it's good, some people feel like it's bad, but I think we all feel the importance of it either way, no matter where you fall, middle, center, up, down, right, left. You feel the weight of what's happening. You feel a transition, you feel a turn in this country. And, all we can do is wait and find out and see what happens. But that's deep. And I think what he was saying about, my children's children, will they be soulless? Will they have an ounce of purpose? Will they feel anything? Will they know how to feel anything? Will they have anything to work toward? Think about that. I think that's a really profound question from THEO Von, the comedian. I love this conversation. I think it's a great conversation.
Need a pedigree to understand that that's getting a little wobbly and it's not sustainable. So something radical has to happen.
Radical.
Something really unpopular is going to happen.
Right, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable.
It's going to be wildly uncomfortable.
But what's going to be way more uncomfortable is whatever's after that. It doesn't even sound human to me after that.
I'd go back to the slavery thing. I mean, the idea.
The Christian in me feels like that conversation, that bit right there felt very biblical. Do you know what like the Christian in me? Like it just felt super biblical. It's got to get radical. It's got to get uncomfortable. And then, something big is going to come. Revelations, is that you?
Comfortable is whatever's after that. It doesn't even sound human to me after that.
I'd go back to the slavery thing. I mean, the idea of getting rid of that in 1860,
idea,
right? It was so many otherwise rational people who were walking around, influencers of the day with columns and people giving oratories and speeches. Really smart people were saying, we can't do this. The country will collapse. And other people were like, well, then let the heavens fall, because that's a hill I'll die on, right?
Yeah.
So every now and then, something rises to a place where you just can't talk about it the way you'd been talking about it.
Right.
And look, man, I really wonder 150 years from now what our great-great-great-great-grandkids will be saying about us. Like how, right, like what will be the slavery of today? Mm-hmm. Will it be the fact that we let our country become completely dependent on other countries who really don't like us much?
I think that's it right there, right? I think that's the Trump administration 2.0's whole, look at Theo's face. He's so disgusted. His whole MO is like, in order to make this country great again, first of all, we have to get all of the power back. Like everything is being made somewhere else by people who really can't stand us. And their leverage is that we need them. They don't have to like us. We need them. And this administration wants to do away with that. It's like, we don't actually need you. So if you don't like us, then stay over there and we'll manufacture that. It's a really good point.
Dependent on other countries who really don't like us much. I mean,
no, they don't have any care.
It's insane. If you only look at the economic ramifications of a tariff, that's not much different than only looking at whether or not you like your job based on what your paycheck says.
Yeah.
And if you take the bait on that, the next thing you know, you're going to be having an argument about UBI, universal basic income, and you're going to get sucked into this whole conversation about, well, what are people going to do if there is no work, and we ought to just pay them not to do anything, and then you've got all kinds of moral and ethical questions.
Yeah, kind of. But
it never stops.
If at a certain point, you have to invest in your own country and your own people, the spirit of your own people. And I can't understand how that's not extremely evident right now. And if UBI, if universal basic income helps people to get by for a couple years or 5 years while like things adjust from going from let's try to build stuff here in our own country and make people feel empowered and if they're part of an assembly line of humanity and of purpose and of a nation and of a group think of a moral code, then I don't. I think
I
that's
can't tell if Mike is looking at him like he's a moron or like he's saying something profound. I can't tell.
while like things adjust from going from let's try to build stuff here in our own country and make people feel empowered and if they're part of an assembly line of humanity and of purpose and of a nation and of a group think of a moral code, then I think that's totally fine. Let's stop giving money to other places who have enough money right now and help our own people out for a little while, you know? And I know I'm opening up bigger cans of worms, but yeah, it's just, I am all in. Because if you don't do it now, to me, it appears like it's kind of going to be a wrap. But I still believe that there's that human spirit, that there's that team spirit, there's that whatever made those people, whatever that thing is to be an American, even if it's not even real, but that we believe in it, there's still that inside of us that makes me believe that we could turn it around.
That guy, Bayard, who you brought up, he's a Wall Street guy. And 16 years ago, he said, no, his family came over on the freaking Mayflower, just so you know. Wow. That's who this guy is. And he said, nope, redo. I'm going to build a company called American Giant, and I'm going to prove that this country can still make quality clothing. Now, that's a very personal mission that could only be embarked upon by a genuinely hard-headed dude, okay? But 16 years later, they're still standing, and they're doing it. They're proving it, right? Now, can you do it to scale? This is a whole other conversation.
Right.
But
we'll talk about it another time. We can. But yeah, can you do it to scale? What pieces have to start? But you have to start somewhere. It's like the crazy person, the leader was at first the crazy person. The revolutionaries were first viewed as insane, always.
It's not just that. It's every great accepted
Biblical.
Crazy person. The revolutionaries were first viewed as insane, always.
It's not just that. It's every great accepted truth today began as madness.
Yeah.
It was dismissed, and then it was grudgingly considered.
Good.
And then it was slowly
That's
accepted
good,
as fringe.
brother.
And then it was
good.
more widely believed as possible. And then it got a consensus. And then it became the truth. And then it became the self-evident truth.
Yeah.
That's how it always happens. It's going to happen with every single thing right now, from tariffs to climate change to meat eating, to addiction. All the things we think we know about all of these different things are in a state of evolution.
I agree.
And I don't know where or how it ends, but I'll tell you this, man.
It's exciting.
We are long in certainty today, and we're very short in understanding. And it's just
We're long in certainty and very short in understanding. The amount of quotables in this 15-minute clip of this podcast is blowing my mind.
we are long in certainty today, and we're very short in understanding. And it's just going to take time. It's just going to take time to be as certain about these other things as we are about slavery. You know, it takes time for people.
That was good. I found myself enjoying that. All right. I just want to hear what you guys have to say down below. I won't talk too much. I think I've said all I needed to say, as always. Make sure you're subscribed. Keep it cute or put it on mute. What does that mean? That means if you can't write your opinion, your perspective, your point of view, because that's what all of these things are, please exit stage left. All right? I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you have the day you deserve. Bye.